So Mark Carney's packing his bags for Beijing, and Doug Ford's frantically texting him like a worried parent on prom night. Don't you dare lift those tariffs, Mark. I know what you're thinking. Don't even think about it. And honestly, this is peak Canadian politics right now. We've got premiers fighting premiers, provinces beefing with provinces, and the whole thing reads like a game of economic Jenga where nobody wants to be the one who makes it all topple. Welcome back to Canadian Insights, where we break down the chaos so you don't have to. Today, we're diving into Doug Ford's desperate plea to Mark Carney about Chinese EV tariffs, and trust me, this story has more layers than a Tim Hortons everything bagel. Let's set the scene. Mark Carney, Canada's brand new Prime Minister, is heading to China to do what politicians do best: smile for cameras and pretend everything's fine while the house is metaphorically on fire. His mission? Build relations, smooth things over, maybe share some maple syrup diplomacy. But Doug Ford? He's got other plans. Ford's basically standing at the airport gate with a giant foam finger that says keep the tariffs and hoping Carney notices before he boards that flight. Now, why is Ford so obsessed with these tariffs? Well, back in 2024, the federal government slapped a 100% tariff on Chinese-made electric vehicles. That's not a typo. 100%. Basically, they doubled the price overnight. The reasoning was pretty straightforward: protect Canada's automotive industry, especially Ontario's barely breathing EV sector, from getting absolutely steamrolled by cheap Chinese imports. And when I say cheap, I mean Chinese EVs are the dollar store version of electric cars, except they actually work really well, and that's the problem. Ford's been championing this move because Ontario's entire automotive identity is basically we make cars and we're proud of it. The province has been trying to pivot into the electric vehicle game, investing billions, courting manufacturers, doing the whole economic transformation dance. But here's the thing: Ontario's EV industry is what we might generously call struggling. It's fledgling. It's barely out of the nest. It's like watching a baby bird try to fly while a hawk circles overhead, except the hawk is made in Shenzhen and costs half as much. So Ford's looking at this situation and thinking, if we drop these tariffs now, we're basically waving the white flag before the game even starts. He's got a point, too. The pressure from the United States has been immense. They're watching Canada's every move, wondering if we're going to hold the line or fold like a cheap lawn chair. And with growing economic concerns everywhere you look, Ford's basically arguing that now is not the time to go soft. But here's where it gets spicy. Because while Ontario's sweating bullets about its car industry, out in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, farmers are absolutely losing it. Why? Because China doesn't play nice when you slap tariffs on their stuff. They hit back hard. Beijing responded to Canada's EV tariffs by putting reciprocal tariffs on Canadian canola and pork. And if you're not familiar with prairie economics, let me paint you a picture. Canola and pork aren't just products out there, they're basically the economic backbone. We're talking about established industries that have been thriving for decades, suddenly getting kneecapped because Ontario wants to protect an industry that barely exists yet. Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe is not having it. He's been vocal, he's been persistent, and he's currently on that China trip with Carney, probably whispering in his ear every chance he gets. Moe's argument is brutally logical. Why are we sacrificing a proven, successful agricultural sector for an electric vehicle economy that's still figuring out how to tie its shoes? He's essentially saying, we've got farmers who've been feeding people for generations getting punished so Ontario can maybe, possibly, hopefully build some cars in the future. And honestly, from his perspective, it sounds kind of insane. This is where Canadian politics gets deliciously messy. We've got Ontario versus the prairies in what's essentially an economic cage match. Ford's texting Carney saying don't you dare, while Moe's probably sliding into those same DMs with actually, you definitely should. It's competing provincial interests on full display, and Carney stuck in the middle like a kid whose parents are fighting over where to go for vacation. Let's talk about what's really at stake here, because it's not just about cars and canola, though that's dramatic enough. This is about Canada's entire economic strategy moving forward. Do we protect emerging industries that represent the future, even if they're not ready yet? Or do we prioritize the sectors that are actually making money right now, keeping people employed, and feeding the world? It's the classic debate: short-term pain for long-term gain, or protect what works and figure out the future later. Ford's betting on the long game. He's looking at the global shift toward electric vehicles and thinking, if we don't establish ourselves now, we'll be buying everything from China in 10 years anyway, and all those manufacturing jobs will be gone forever. There's merit to that. The EV revolution is happening whether we like it or not. Every major automaker is pivoting. Governments worldwide are setting deadlines to phase out gas-powered vehicles. Ontario's trying to get a seat at that table before it fills up. But Mo's betting on reality. He's saying, we've got farmers who need to sell their crops today, not in some hypothetical future where Ontario's EV industry is thriving. The agricultural sector employs thousands of people across the prairies, contributes billions to the economy, and frankly, it's proven. It works. It's reliable. Sacrificing that for what might be feels reckless to him, and you can't entirely blame the guy. The irony here is almost painful. Canada's trying to be a player in the green economy, building electric vehicles to save the planet, but the policy meant to support that is actively hurting farmers who are also, in their own way, essential to sustainability and food security. It's like we're robbing Peter to pay Paul, except both Peter and Paul are yelling at us and we're not sure if we even have the money. And then there's Mark Carney, our protagonist in this drama, flying to Beijing right in the middle of this provincial tug-of-war. Carney's no dummy. He's a former central banker, he's navigated international finance, he's dealt with pressure before. But this? This is a uniquely Canadian headache. He's got to sit across from Chinese officials, discuss trade relations, and somehow not commit to anything that'll have either Ford or Mo calling for his head when he lands back home. The fact that Ford admitted he hadn't even spoken to Carney before the trip, but plans to text him, is peak 2025 politics. Forget formal diplomatic channels or official briefings. We're conducting international trade policy via text message now. Can you imagine? Hey Mark, it's Doug. Just a reminder, tariffs stay. Cool? Cool. Safe flight. Also grab me some souvenirs. What makes this even more complicated is that China knows exactly what they're doing. They're not targeting random sectors with their retaliatory tariffs. They're deliberately choosing canola and pork because they know it'll create domestic political pressure in Canada. It's strategic, it's calculated, and it's working. Beijing's basically sitting back watching Canadian provinces fight each other while they maintain their position. Classic divide and conquer, except they didn't even have to do the dividing. We're doing it ourselves. So what happens next? That's the billion-dollar question, literally. If Carney caves and lifts the EV tariffs, Ford's going to explode. Ontario's automotive dreams take a hit, Chinese EVs flood the market, and every politician who invested in the sector looks like they wasted taxpayer money. But if Carney holds firm, Saskatchewan and Manitoba farmers continue to suffer, agricultural exports take a beating, and Mo gets to say I told you so while rural communities struggle. There's no clean win here. This is one of those situations where any decision makes someone angry, and the best outcome is probably finding some middle ground that makes everyone equally unhappy. Maybe partial tariff reductions? Maybe negotiating specific exemptions? Maybe convincing China to ease up on canola while we ease up on EVs? Who knows? But what's clear is that Carney's walking into a minefield, and Doug Ford's texting him a map with all the wrong directions. At the end of the day, this whole saga is a perfect snapshot of modern Canadian politics. We're a confederation of provinces with wildly different economies, priorities, and perspectives, all trying to navigate an increasingly complicated global landscape. Ontario needs one thing, the prairies need another, and Ottawa's stuck trying to make everyone happy while also maintaining credibility on the international stage. Good luck with that. So keep your eyes on this story, because it's far from over. Whether you're Team Ford, Team Mo, or just Team Please Make This Drama Stop, we're all about to find out what Carney decides. And whatever happens, you know we'll be here breaking it down, because that's what we do at Canadian Insights. If you made it this far, hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and drop a comment telling me whose side you're on in this tariff showdown. We post multiple videos daily covering all the political chaos you need to know about, so turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Until next time, stay informed, stay skeptical, and remember, in Canadian politics, nothing's ever as simple as it seems. Catch you in the next one.